All right, so the theme of the entire WNBA offseason is uncertainty, right? There's not even a CBA in place. And then every player in the league is a free agent, not to mention that there's expansion drafts. So assuming all the, I's get dotted and the T's get crossed, there's still a big T in uncertainty. And that is going for Sophie Cunningham as well. When you think about the Indiana Fever, there's a core. There's Caitlin Clark. There's Aaliyah Boston. There's Kelsey Mitchell, who they said is the #1 priority. Clark, Boston, under contract, locked up. They'll be back. Lexi Hull, restricted free agent. You would assume she'd be back.
So Sophie Cunningham just dropped a total bombshell on her podcast. She just casually mentioned her next team might actually not be the Indiana Fever. What? She wants a bigger contract. Her goal is to finally buy a house and settle down. That statement sent immediate shockwaves through the entire WNBA. I mean, the Fever's fan favorite, the fierce protector of Caitlin Clark, walking away from Indianapolis? For so many, that just feels unthinkable. Her words were super clear and direct. There's no mistaking her future intentions or her significant financial goals. This wasn't just some offhand comment. This was a full-on declaration, and now everyone's scrambling to figure out what's next.
In the midst of it. But she said at her exit interview that she's, likes it there, but she's not dumb because she's blonde and is going to explore her options. And it seems, it's not a guarantee, as odd as it would be after this last season, that Sophie Cunningham will be back in an Indiana Fever uniform next year. Why would I say that right now? Well, some comments she made on her podcast, the Show Me Something podcast. Now, I don't know if she necessarily intended it this way, because they were talking about uncertainty as life as a professional athlete and her moving out of an apartment, and her co-host Wes Wilson had said, don't
look, the whole WNBA offseason is just swirling with so much uncertainty. It's a chaotic storm of change affecting every single player out there. There's no new collective bargaining agreement in place, and every player in the league is becoming a free agent. That means the landscape is shifting big time. Plus, you've got those expansion drafts coming up. It's a perfect storm of unpredictability. This massive amount of uncertainty is overshadowing everything right now, and it applies directly to Sophie Cunningham's situation. Even for a player who seems so completely cemented in her spot, you can interpret for yourself just how telling that is.
And I think the next team I play for, I want a bigger contract, so then I can buy a house and be homey and cozy.
Fuck yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. That could be the Liberty. It could be New York City. It could also be the Lynx, and it could be Minneapolis. Like, you just don't know.
It could be anywhere.
So the next team I play for, and it could be anywhere. I don't know how far into the future she's thinking next team, but it is a telling comment, in my opinion, from Sophie Cunningham, that it's not a guarantee that she'll be back with the Indiana Fever. You go to what she said at her exit interview, and this.
Now, the Indiana Fever, they've got what looks like an unbreakable core. Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. They're securely under contract, locked in for the long haul. Kelsey Mitchell, who the organization sees as their #1 priority, is also expected back. Lexi Hull, she's a restricted free agent, but she's a strong candidate for resigning too. And rookie Michaela Tinson will probably be back on her initial contract. But here's the thing. Beyond those foundational pieces, that roster is pretty much a blank slate. That leaves a massive void for crucial role players. The elimination.
Now, as far as the contract goes, Sophie Cunningham is a very good basketball player, right? She can shoot the three. She can handle the ball a little bit. She can really fit in with any team. She can run the floor. She brings a certain intensity and competitive spirit to the court. So there's a lot of value in that. But her celebrity probably exceeds her slot on a roster as far as where she's evaluated. Meaning she's like an upper level role player as far as a basketball player, but a superstar as far as branding and all that stuff goes now, after she did the MMA thing with JC Sheldon and all that, and said,
Sophie Cunningham, she felt like such an indispensable part of the Fever's whole vibe, like a truly integral piece of their identity. Her fiery defense of Caitlin Clark, how perfectly she seemed to fit with the team, and her almost overnight rise to superstar status amidst all the chaos, it just made her leaving seem totally unimaginable. But here's what happened. At her exit interview, she made it super clear. She loved her time in Indiana, yes, but she also said she's not dumb. She was absolutely going to explore all her options. That blunt honesty really set the stage for what we just heard.
As a basketball player, but a superstar as far as branding and all that stuff goes now, you know, after she did the MMA thing with JC Sheldon and all that, and said, you know, it's the refs' fault because they haven't stuck up for or haven't protected the superstar of the WNBA. And everybody loved that, and then all of a sudden it exploded, and that's what happens when you play on the Indiana Fever. You know, your chance of becoming a bigger crossover star is immense. I mean, it's right there in front of you. I think there was an article, or STN Digital had put out social ratings the other day, and the Fever, it was estimated had.
And get this, the real bombshell, it completely detonated on her Show Me Something podcast. They were talking about the nomadic life of pro athletes, you know, moving out of apartments all the time. Her co-host, Wes Wilson, he joked about investing in living space. Sophie, she then laughed about investing in her previous place, only to get traded right after. This whole innocent conversation just quickly morphed into a stunning aside. It was a stark moment of raw honesty that immediately grabbed headlines everywhere.
There in front of you, I think there was an article, or STN Digital had put out social ratings the other day, and the Fever, it was estimated had $55 million in social value. The next team up was the Lynx at 8.61 million. So that's that, right? Like, I'm sorry, the Wings at 8.61 million, and then the Aces and the Lynx. But and Sophie experienced that with the Fever. Now, as far as the contracts go, here's how the cap table looks for Indiana. This was 2025. So Sophie made about $100,000, which, as you can see,
the moment that sent actual shockwaves through the WNBA came right after that. Sophie just declared, "The next team I play for, I want a bigger contract. So then I can buy a house and be homey and cozy." The room just fell silent. Listen, this wasn't some hypothetical idea she was throwing out there. It was a super clear statement of intent, showing she fully expects to be on a next team, and she's prioritizing long-term financial stability. That could mean the Liberty in New York City, or even the Lynx, or honestly, countless other destinations.
The contracts go, here's how the cap table looks for Indiana. This was 2025. So Sophie made about $100,000, which, as you can see, is the same as Demiris Dantas, but in line with, you know, over a vet, Sydney Colson, but half of what Natasha Howard made. So she would be in line for a raise, I think, in production and what she brings to the table. She shouldn't be just above Sydney Colson, right? But she probably shouldn't be at where Kelsey Mitchell is, somewhere in that sweet spot in between. And then maybe the length of the deal comes into play. If you look at the Fever's cap table for 2020.
This candid comment from Cunningham is super telling, right? It really signals that her returning to an Indiana Fever uniform next year is far from a sure thing. While she didn't explicitly say she was leaving, the whole emphasis on a next team and a bigger contract paints a really clear picture of what she's thinking. That casual delivery actually masked a powerful message. Sophie Cunningham is actively planning for a future that very well might be outside of Indianapolis. She's chasing those significant financial opportunities.
Right, like we've heard her a lot. She's in headlines a lot. She's got this podcast a lot. Clearly, she capitalized on it. The Arby's thing. She's on Good Morning America. You know, she had that security endorsement for sticking up for Caitlin Clark. So there are bags coming Sophie Cunningham's way, and the effect from that probably doesn't just go away if she were to go to another destination. So I don't take her comments to mean she's definitely not returning to the Indiana Fever, but I do take her comments to mean that she's not throwing other options out the window, which she's.
So her podcast declaration actually echoed her earlier exit interview comments, and honestly, those take on a much sharper edge now. Back then, when someone asked if she'd vote to stay in Indiana, she said, "I love being here. And I don't think that's news to anybody." She spoke so passionately about the Midwest, the camaraderie, and that unique bond they forged through a really tough season. It was a bond she'd never experienced in 7 years in the league. Of course, she wants to come back. But there was this crucial caveat. Despite her heartfelt affection for the Fever, Sophie also added, "I'm definitely going to be entertaining other teams, other offers." Her hope was to keep having a great time in Indiana, but she was super aware of what the new CBA meant. She even quipped, "I might be blonde, but I can't just not look at other opportunities," really showing off her smart business acumen. This foresight, which she expressed right after the season, is clearly showing up in her recent podcast comments now. Look, Sophie Cunningham is undeniably a very good basketball player. She's got a valuable skill set that makes her an asset to pretty much any team, seriously. She can consistently shoot the three, handle the ball competently, run the floor, and she brings this unmatched intensity and competitive spirit to the court. Just those attributes alone make her a desirable free agent for many franchises, especially those looking to boost their roster with a versatile, high-energy performer. But here's the thing, Sophie's celebrity status, especially after her meteoric rise this past season, probably exceeds her current evaluation as purely an upper-level role player. After her viral, almost MMA-style defense of Caitlin Clark against JC Sheldon, and those impassioned comments about protecting the WNBA superstar, her brand absolutely exploded. This crossover appeal, seriously amplified by playing on the Fever, transformed her into a huge social media presence. It was way beyond just what she does on the court. Playing for the Indiana Fever undeniably supercharged Sophie's public profile. The Fever, get this, was estimated by STN Digital to have commanded an astounding $55 million in social value last year. That dwarfs the next closest team, the Wings, who had $8.61 million. This unprecedented platform catapulted Sophie right into the mainstream. It landed her in an Arby's campaign, an appearance on Good Morning America, and even a security endorsement. All of that stemmed directly from her staunch defense of Clark. Currently, Sophie earns around $100. That puts her in line with a veteran like Damaris Test, but it's only half of what Natasha Howard made. Given her production, her impact, and her skyrocketing celebrity, she is clearly due for a substantial raise. She shouldn't be earning just above a Sydney Colson, but she also likely won't command a Kelsey Mitchell-level salary. The sweet spot, that's somewhere in between, and the length and security of the deal are going to be critical factors in the negotiation. Now, looking ahead to the Fever's 2026 cap table reveals some stark details. Only Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Michaela Tinson are currently on the book. This financial flexibility, or lack thereof, depending on how you look at it, means the Fever will be actively shopping in a free agent market where the entire league is available. This complicates Sophie's situation immensely, because Indiana has to weigh her value against a truly unprecedented pool of talent. Sophie Cunningham is no rookie when it comes to the business side of basketball. She's been around the block long enough to know that nothing is ever guaranteed in professional sports. Her past experience of being traded from the Mercury serves as a powerful reminder of the cold realities of the league. She totally understands that loyalty and affection, while important, often take a backseat to financial realities and team strategy in the competitive WNBA. The impact Sophie had on the Fever this season was just undeniable. It made her feel like an integral, almost irreplaceable piece of the puzzle. I mean, when she went down with an injury in one particular game, it genuinely felt like the entire season's hopes might be over for the team. While they battled on, her presence, intensity, and ability to generate content and connect with fans made her contributions feel much deeper than just the stat. Despite her potential departure, the bags coming Sophie Cunningham's way from endorsements and celebrity probably aren't going to disappear. Her unique brand, forged through those viral moments and that fierce personality, totally has a life of its own now. So her comments don't necessarily mean she's definitely leaving the Fever, but they strongly signal she's keeping all her options on the table. That's a position she plainly stated months ago, and now she's aggressively pursuing it. The ultimate decision for Sophie, and for the Fever front office, hinges on a crucial cost-benefit analysis. What contract length and financial value is Indiana willing to offer, especially relative to that vast free agent market and who else might be available? While fans, and even the front office, hope Sophie Cunningham returns to the Indiana Fever, any deal has to be made within reason. Her podcast statement isn't a farewell. It's a powerful negotiation tactic, reminding everyone that she's a shrewd businesswoman with significant leverage, and she's ready to explore any path that secures her future.